Welcome back, Mastercraft Gaming fans. It's Kyle from Mantic, and it's been a while. Let's talk some Clash of Kings 22. First off, I'd like to say thank you to everyone in the UK, especially at the Clash of Kings tournament that was just taking place this past weekend in Cardiff. I got to meet a lot of faces that over the years I've known you guys through communication online, but when you actually get to meet in person, everyone was amazingly polite, lovely, friendly, bought me beers. I mean, I'd like to joke and say bad things about you guys on camera, but truthfully, you were all wonderful, amazing, and I cannot wait to be back again. Special congratulations to Tom Robinson for the first place finish with his Northern Alliance army. We are now taking away all the buffs that were previously planned. All kidding aside, actually, what I'd like to do today is just kind of go through every single faction in this book and pick out one standout tweak that's been made, and they're just basically my favorites. You might see them on other podcasts or videos or previews that are done, but these ones are the ones that I particularly like, and we'll just go right down the list pretty much in the order of Easy Army. First one for the Basileans is the Divine Fervor, and this is an upgrade that's going to be available on 3 different unit types, basically all the Elohi options, and what it does is allow you to get a elite bonus for any units that are human in contact in the same combat as these ones. So it's a really good double up option, especially with those sneaky flying characters. Next up, we've got the Dwarves, and we're going to take a look at the Berserkers real quick because they got a little bit of a nerve bump and a brand new special rule, Slayer D6. This is intense because a lot of times Slayer's only D3. D6 on these guys makes a big, big difference. I think they're going to be very popular now. This is the one I think a lot of people were probably expecting and anticipating. Elf players are going to rejoice. The Archers, they are going to melee 3 at the cost of a little bit of a defense, but I think it's a very reasonable trade, and especially because these Archers are now going to be carried forward into the Sylvan Kin and Twilight Kin. Moving on to Northern Alliance, this is going to be another popular one, especially for those foot infantry fans. This is their formation, so Tom's performance apparently didn't get this taken away. 2 regiments of clansmen with the double-handed weapon upgrade, meaning that they are going to be hitting at crushing 2. This is pretty nasty. In addition to the vicious they're going to get, I think that the Slayer is just icing on the cake at this point. Pretty nasty. Good thing, especially because Orloff the Barbarian probably isn't seen as competitive, but now these guys together looks pretty nice. In Forces of Nature, they've really needed some kind of a hammer, and the best possible unit was probably the Worm Riders. Well, the profile's been replaced now with the Riverborn Worm Riders, and these guys are a hammer of hammers with crushing and thunderous charge built into them. They're going to hit like a ton of bricks, and I think this is exactly the kind of unit that Nature players have really been looking for. Moving on to Ogres, I have to give homage to my best friend Jesse. This upgrade is all about him, and it's going to the Mammoth, the unit that he campaigned for forever. And there's 2 amazing things here. Obviously, the Big Deal upgrade is something that you can take to make it a unique option. There's a lot of these in the book. The Big Deal gives you an additional bonus to your Brutal, and then the Call to Greatness is pretty fantastic because it kind of harkens to the Pizza Jesus notion that we've always sort of loved and played with. So this is an honor to you, buddy. Hope you're looking down on us and think it's a good call. Now we're going to take a look at the Trident Realm, and that's going to be with the Coral Giant. In addition to amending its attacks to a D6 plus 8, it's also getting access to Slayer D6, so a really nasty upgrade that I think is going to be a phenomenal tool for Trident Realm players that are going to have plenty of nuts to crack. For the Abyssal Dwarves, we know we've got that long-range firepower covered, but what about the Hellfane? An awesome model kit, but something that just hasn't quite fit. Taking another crack at it with this, lowering the points down, and then also adding Rampage, which is a very big help against infantry units in combat. Next up is the Empire of Dust, and this is an army that has been a thorn in my side for years. I can never beat anyone that plays them, Mark Taylor, and they are getting a highly, highly desired unit within their faction back. That is going to be in the Sandborn Worm Riders, and as you can see from this profile, it's the exact kind of unit that they've been looking for, missing since 2nd edition, and I think that it's appropriate that it's back now in 3rd. Next up are the Forces of the Abyss and the Cronius, and this is a model that has a gorgeous sculpt, and you don't see it taken too often because it's really not all that great currently, but now, with that Temporal Ruptures rule, you've basically got the ability to life leech. The damage the Cronius does, he can life leech off the unit that he attacks, and then puts the heals onto units that are nearby. So it's kind of a cool additional support unit that the army does very well with, obviously with the regen and that sort of thing, so I like it a lot. For the Goblins, when you've got monsters and war engines out the wazoo, what do you do to adjust them to make them better without nerfs? Well, take a look at what you can do for their combat effectiveness, and the Luggets are a pretty popular option. Why not give them a Horde option? So now with the Brutal and Crushing Strength and that big pile of nerve, this is a nasty, nasty pickup for a lot of Goblin players. For the Night Stalkers, Inspiring can be a tricky thing. So with the Portal of Despair, you've got the ability to input inspiring into your army instead of just stealing it. But now there's an option for Radiance of Life as well. And along with the Planar Apparition, there's some pretty nasty heals that you can put in this kind of an army. For orcs, again, we're going to take a look at the formation because this one is pretty gross. This is Mulgurk's Mad Mob. It's basically a war drum on chariot along with some other chariot support that gets all kinds of rules. So the war drum also all of a sudden gets the spellcaster rule and Bane Chant along with the Rampage and Slayer going to both of the regiments of chariots. So a lot of extra hitting power. Obviously, it's orcs. Come smash. Come take them off the table. For the Undead, we decided to buff the Soul Reaver Infantry's attacks to 40 apiece for the regiment and 35 for the troops. I'm kidding. We did take a look at what could be good, obviously, with the zombies and the Gore Blight. There's some really nice keyword there with a Necromancer currently. Now with this formation, you've got Iron Resolve and Rallying that can come into play, Phalanx that can be thrown in. So it's a really nice option to just sort of make those zombies a sticky tar pit that makes the game a little bit different from what the hard hammers that are very popular currently are. I think the playtesters in general are really excited about the Order of the Green Lady, and they're going to show you all kinds of things eventually before the book comes out. But the Champion of the Green Lady, in my opinion, is actually a really cool option. It just gives you sort of that iconic Green Lady feel where you've got a Green Knight, perhaps, that can come into play, and I like it quite a bit. It fits the bill exactly for what you're looking for, and I love that verdant keyword too. For the Order of Brothermark, not a lot of people are playing them, and I really like this formation, and it might be the core to start a new army of them. It is a dragon and 2 regiments of knights that get the brutal rule and the cloak of death rule. And I don't know about you guys, but the math on that means that that's going to hit pretty hard when they actually do get into combat. So keep an eye out for these guys coming forward. Free dwarfs. This one's really simple. Berserker Brock Riders. Pathfinder's just in the profile now. Pretty sweet. Salamanders obviously have new models out from Mantic, and they've got a good look with Firebrand, who now makes Corsairs regular. You can theme an entire army around this option, and the Corsairs are looking pretty good to do so. The Sylvankin are going to get a lot of love because they're not only getting the trickle-down effects from other factions, such as the Elves and the Archers that we talked about earlier, they're also getting some additional units that are coming in from another possible master list, so a new tweak in what's going on there. But let's take a look at the Archwraith, because what I like what we've done here is basically take the unit and apply a buff to your Bosswraith style units, and any kind of synergy like this makes for fun, new thematic way to play the list, and this is a good option to do so. The Herd plays like a glass hammer and moves forward with very fragile units that just hit hard. They've got Pathfinder abundant, lots of attacks, and probably the most infantry that hit on 3s in melee in the game. What can you do to support that? Bring along the Avatar of the Father, obviously a nice big nasty flying dragon type unit that comes in and just cleans things up or projects a tremendous amount of threat that keeps your unit safe as they're trying to set up their positions. For Kingdoms of Men, they are the ultimate utility box, and their new special character, Living Legend, the Monarch, really exemplifies that. With the options that are available now, you can basically use him to buff whatever type of list that you want to take or whatever function that needs supported within the faction. So along with the Flying Cavalry that Matt James talked about, you can kind of get together what sort of extra bits that the Kingdoms of Men are getting, and this is a great support tool that I think is going to be very welcome. Next up is League of Rortia, and I'd be amiss if I didn't talk about the Halflings. There's been a lot of questions on whether or not these guys would get their units brought over into this list. We're going to take a look at the formation of the Loyalists that shows you exactly what these halflings can do when they're still in the League of Rortia. So they get some unique special rules that allow them to be different from what they are in the halfling master list, especially with the headstrong ability here, and then also the ability to apply elite. With the halflings that obviously don't hit that well, suddenly they actually are kind of a threat. For the Ratkin, we're going to take a look at the Mutant Rat-fiend and its ability to now roll a D3 for its Radiance of Life for the Vermin keyword units that are nearby. That's not just one tick of damage, that's actually potentially quite a bit, so it's a really good grinding supplement and works really well with that sort of playstyle. The Ratkin Slaves are probably the least played faction currently in 3rd edition, and this is an option for them that I think is going to be a very popular thing because it takes an existing game mechanic such as Overrun with individuals in combat and applies it to a unit itself. So this Impaler is one nasty one, so that you got to be really careful what kind of units are lined up across from it. If it's an easily routable unit, such as a troop or a regiment or a horde that's already on its last leg, these guys have the potential to get right past them and get right into something else. So keep an eye out for this unit in Ratkin Slaves. The Twilight Kin, the army that I've been playing primarily in 3rd edition, and this is a unit that I've already talked about once on the Clash of Kings stream, but I'm just so excited to talk about it again. So the Gladestalkers got changed for all 3 armies. In the Twilightkin, they were given the option for the Dreamslayer Venom, which allows them to do basically what the Hammer of Measured Force does and wound any unit in combat on 4s regardless of its defense. They've also moved their melee to 3+ instead of just 4+, so it maintains that 3-up, but you'll notice that they no longer have steady aim. So this is a big drop in the sense of their mobility firepower, but when they get into combat, they're pretty effective. They've also got a bump to their attacks as well. All 3 units of the Gladestalkers have gotten new tweaks that have made them unique. This one's my favorite, of course. Last but not least are the Varanger and one of the units that needed the most love, and that's the Reavers. We've now got the option for Wild Charge, which really extends their range quite a bit, and the option for a lower pointed cost Life Leech upgrade, which I think that they really need. That Fearless Nerve means that you actually have the ability to use this, and with a Wild Charge they can get around the table. It's a great Berserker unit, and it fits right in to this army's theme. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Can't wait to see all the screenshots leaked all over the internet. I know everyone's excited about this book, and there's a lot of good to come. This is just scratching the surface of what's inside the Clash of Kings 22 book. There are a ton of previews that are going to be available on podcasts and other video sources. Mantic and myself are also going to be working on a video for the brand new faction that we've sort of been teasing, and that should be coming out next week. So keep your eyes peeled for those links. We'll be posting all kinds of things about them, and I think that everyone is going to be very excited to see what it is. So thanks for tuning in, and make sure to pre-order your Clash of Kings 22 book as soon as possible. Thanks, guys.